Is constructive criticism really constructive? Or is there a better way? Let's help each other improve today. Welcome to Allie on Life, where I believe that every life is a beautiful story, and I want to help you tell yours. I've been doing some personal reflection, and I've had some thoughts on criticism lately that I would like to share with you. Criticism and feedback are definitely different things, and they can both be beneficial and both be negative in different ways. So let's look at both of them and see how they can help or maybe not help, and if there are even better options. But first, if you're enjoying this channel, make sure that you are subscribed. In order to do that, you can either click on the little butterfly at the corner of the screen, or you can also click the subscribe button, and that would really help me out, help this channel, and it'll help you to know when we have new videos coming out. You can also subscribe to my email list, and as a thank you gift, you will get my free guide for picking ideas. It's called What to Write, and you can get that at letsbewriters.com/whattowritepdf. You can also click the link in the description. Well, in order to talk about criticism and feedback, I think we definitely need to look at what they are and what they are not. Criticism is the expression of disapproval for something or someone based on perceived thoughts or mistakes. An expression of disapproval. That sounds very negative, doesn't it? I don't really like how that sounds, and I just don't want to be the kind of person who's a critical person. I actually am the kind of person who's a critical person. I have a very good eye for detail. I appreciate beauty and order. And when I see things that are incorrect, that are out of order or less good than they should be or could be, I really want to point that out because I want someone to fix it. It bothers me not to fix things. But I'm starting to learn that there may be a better way and that criticism is not always the best approach. In fact, I was talking to someone recently about being critical, and she pointed out that criticism really doesn't do anyone any good. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That's not what I've always heard about criticism. I mean, we all do it, right? There must be a reason for it. It must be helpful in some way. What is that way? The more I think about it, the more I think that negativity and disapproval really isn't good for anyone and really doesn't serve to fix or improve much of anything. Criticism really should be reserved to a finished work, like, literary criticism, a book review, a movie review. Food critics, do that, but it's for the purpose of evaluating a finished work and recommending it to others or not. It really isn't about trying to improve something or make it better. That's what feedback is for. And even when we are giving reviews and criticizing something, we need to be careful about how we do that too. I've seen a whole lot of stuff out there on the internet over the years. People think they get really clever with their criticism and their reviews of certain products and the ways that they use their words. It can actually be hurtful because there are people who put out those products and those books and those movies and put a lot of pride and effort into those things. And just because you don't like it doesn't mean you have to be nasty about it. You can show that you're smart and appreciative of the value of things without having to use a lot of negative and disapproving language. Now, there may be people who would, fight me on that because it is kind of fun to start poking around at things and being really clever and sarcastic and, showing that you know so much better than someone else. But when you really think about it, the person who knows the amount of effort and thought that went into the thing is the person who did it. And you may not have a total understanding of what that was. So how about we save our criticism for the most part, or at least temper it with niceness? The way to fix or improve things is by giving feedback. Feedback is a reaction to a product or performance that is used for the basis of improvement. Actually the definition of feedback. And I like that idea that feedback is for improvement where criticism is for disapproval. If you think of it that way, it's a lot easier to know which one is the more positive response. A feedback also generally involves a conversation, and I love to have conversations with things because there's a give and take there. There's not just, oh, you did this thing and I didn't like it. But here are some things that I did like about it, some things that I didn't like so much about it. Here are things that I think that you could do to improve. It's much gentler to offer feedback. And usually people are a lot more willing to give you permission to offer feedback than criticism. In fact, most of the time, if someone says that they want your critical opinion, what they really want is feedback. Because again, when it comes down to it, none of us actually like to receive criticism. It can be helpful. It can sting enough to give us reasons to improve the things that we're doing. But ultimately, it's just really not very good for, the way that we feel about ourselves or our work or the way that we look at the world. Feedback, on the other hand, builds people up a little bit more and gives them more of an opportunity to still feel good about the things that they've done and also see ways that they can improve. Beyond feedback and criticism, there are actually a couple other ways that you can help people improve the things that they're doing. Training is one. You can show people how to do things. You can teach them how to do something. If you teach them how to do something the right way, they are much less likely to do it the wrong way. But if you just maybe give them a set of instructions and say, here you go off and do it, they got to figure it out on their own. And sometimes that might look creative and that might be a good thing, but sometimes it might just look wrong. And then you have to correct it and decide how you're going to do that. However, if you walk through the training process with someone, show them how to do things and all of that, then that can give them a better idea of how you would do it, at least. If you can't personally train someone, you can always give them an example to follow. This is better than a set of instructions. It's a set of instructions along with a visual representation of how to complete the set of instructions and what it should look like when you're finished. Now, this is like with anything. It's like putting a picture of a recipe in a cookbook or having a instructional guide for how to, paint a flower along with the steps that go along with the process, or how to write a book along with, this is how I wrote this paragraph of this book when I was developing this character, or when I was expanding on this plot point, or this is how I used flashbacks in this story, in this part of the book, rather than over here, and being, in the timeline of the story and all of that kind of stuff. Give people examples of what you want the work to look like so that when they create their own, they may put their own spin on it, but it's going to generally look like the example that you gave them. Or at least that's the idea. When it comes to business, I believe that leading by example, along with people giving feedback, is probably the best way to run an organization. Well, how about you? What is your go-to method? Are you a critic? Or do you give feedback? Is it a little bit of both? Do you do something else? Let's talk about that. And I would like to challenge you, as well as myself, to be more positive, to avoid criticism, give more feedback as you're dealing with people around you. It's just a nicer way to approach the world. Now, if you have read my idea generating guide for writers, What to Write, and you'd like some feedback on some of your ideas, please feel free to email me, Allie at letsbewriters.com, and I will do that for you. I love giving feedback. I think it's lots of fun, and it gives me a chance to practice this resolution to be more positive and less critical. So I will do that for you if you'll send me an email. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Now get out there and tell your story because someone needs to hear it.